Yes, dear students, today we are going to focus about the types of chemical reaction. Yes, we have already studied about chemical reaction, chemical equation, balanced chemical equation and unbalanced chemical equation. Now we are going to focus about the types of chemical reactions. Students, there are many types of chemical reactions, but in class 10th in the NCERT syllabus, according to the NCERT syllabus, we have to study some of the chemical reactions like combination reaction, decomposition reaction, displacement reaction, double displacement reaction. So we are just going to study one by one. So first of all, on the basis of energy level, chemical reaction can be divided into two parts: exothermic reactions and endothermic reaction. Dear students, as the name tells, exothermic reaction, exo means hot, given hot, and therm means heat. So very simple, you can tell now the reaction in which heat energy is released is called exothermic reaction. Very simple example I am taking here. When coal is burned in the presence of oxygen, it produces carbon dioxide and some amount of heat is released. So we can tell it exothermic reaction because, dear students, you find that during this reaction heat energy is released, so we can say that this reaction is exothermic reaction. Now we are taking another example of second, endothermic reaction. As name tells, endo means in and therm means heat. So the reaction in which heat energy is absorbed is called endothermic reaction. So once again we are taking another example like when calcium carbonate, this is the formula of lime, this is the formula of marble and so many other things. So calcium carbonate is heated, it gets broken down into calcium oxide and carbon dioxide. So you find that calcium carbonate, when heated, it gets decomposed, it gets broken down into two products here. One is calcium oxide and another is carbon dioxide. So you can see this is an example of endothermic reaction. Why this is called endothermic reaction? In this reaction you find that heat energy is absorbed. So now we are able to define the reaction in which heat energy is absorbed is called endothermic reaction. So dear students, now I am going to summarize of this topic. On the basis of changing in energy, chemical reaction has been divided into two parts: exothermic reaction and endothermic reaction. The reaction in which heat energy is released is called exothermic reaction, and the reaction in which heat energy is absorbed is called endothermic reaction. Now we will discuss the types of reaction on the nature of the chemical reaction. So dear students, on the nature of the chemical reaction has been divided into mainly four parts, that is combination reaction, the decomposition reaction, displacement reaction and double displacement reaction. So first topic is here combination reaction. So on the basis of nature of reaction, the first type of reaction is combination reaction. Combination reaction. Dear students, very clearly name tells combination reaction. It means the reaction in which one, two or more than two substances gets combined to produce a single product. Then it is called combination reaction. Name tells the substances, either two or more than two kinds of substances, when combines to form a single product, then the reaction is said to be combination reaction. Now I am taking some examples for combination reaction. For example, once again I am taking magnesium. You have studied in the first topic there. When magnesium reacts with oxygen, you can say that when magnesium ribbon is burnt, it produces a dazzling flame and it forms a white ash in the china dish. That is called magnesium oxide. Here we have to focus about combination reaction, dear students. Since here reactants are two, generally you do know that reactants are written on the left hand side and product is written on the right hand side. So here you can understand that in this reaction magnesium and oxygen are reactant and magnesium oxide is product. So why it is called combination reaction? As according to the definition, when two or more than two reactants combine to form a single product, then it is called combination reaction. And in this reaction we find that there are two reactants, magnesium and oxygen, and only a single product is there, that is magnesium oxide. Hence we can say that this reaction is an example of combination reaction. Here one more thing about this reaction that generally asked in the board questions also, that the combination reaction is generally exothermic reaction. Here you can see that after this reaction heat energy is also released. So you must remember generally combination reactions are exothermic reactions. However, some reactions are exceptions there, but generally combination reactions are exothermic reactions. Now we can take another example. When carbon is burned in the presence of oxygen, it produces carbon dioxide. This is also an example of combination reaction. When nitrogen gets combined with hydrogen, it produces ammonia gas. This is also an example of combination reaction, because in all these reactions you may find the reactants are two and product is single. So such type of reaction is called combination reaction. Once again, now I am summarizing combination reaction. Yes, dear boys and girls, on the basis of nature of chemical reaction has been divided into four parts: combination reaction, decomposition reaction, displacement reaction, and double displacement reaction. So combination reaction, the chemical reaction in which two or more than two substances gets combined to produce a single product, then it is called combination reaction. Now dear students, this is the time to discuss about another reaction, that is decomposition reaction. So now we will discuss about decomposition reaction, the second chemical reaction on the basis of nature of reaction. Decomposition reaction. Decomposition reaction. Dear students, what is decomposition reaction? Decompose means breaking down. Decompose means breaking down of the substances. So the reaction, the chemical reaction in which a single substance gets decomposed, gets broken down into two or more than two kinds of substances. This is called decomposition reaction. Here we are taking a very simple example. Very simple example. When calcium carbonate is heated, it gets broken down into calcium oxide and carbon dioxide. Dear students, in this reaction, you may find that calcium carbonate is a single substance, and when it is heated, it gets decomposed, it gets broken down into two substances, calcium oxide and carbon dioxide. So in this reaction, you may find that the reactant is single and products are two here, calcium oxide and carbon dioxide. So this is an example of decomposition reaction. Now you can summarize, dear students. The reaction in which a single substance gets decomposed, gets broken down into two or more than two simpler substances, then it is called decomposition reaction. Now, one more thing that is interesting here, this decomposition reaction has been divided into three parts: thermal decomposition reaction, photolytic decomposition reaction, and the third one is electrolytic decomposition reaction. Dear students, as the name tells, I am going to discuss about the parts of the decomposition reaction. Thermal decomposition reaction. Here, therm means heat and decomposition means breaking down of some substances. So, the reaction in which a single substance gets broken down into two or more than two substances in the presence of heat, then it is called thermal decomposition reaction. Another is photolytic decomposition reaction. Dear students, when the decomposition reaction takes place in the presence of light or sunlight, you can tell, then it is called photolytic decomposition reaction. Here we are taking some examples. Suppose we have a China dish. In the China dish, we take silver bromide or silver chloride, you can take. Suppose we have taken silver bromide in a China dish, and this silver bromide gets exposed in the sun for some times. So after some times you can find that silver bromide, which is white in color, after some times you find that the color has been changed and it becomes grayish color. Why does this happen? Dear students, actually I am telling about the reaction here. Silver bromide AgBr, when it is taken in a China dish, it gets decomposed and produces silver and bluish colors bromine. So this is white in color and this is gray in color and bromine is bluish green. So this is called photolytic decomposition reaction. Why it is called photolytic decomposition reaction? Because this decomposition reaction takes place in the presence of sunlight. Here you can find silver bromide changes into silver and bromine. So this is an example of photolytic decomposition reaction. Another example is electrolytic decomposition reaction. In the same way, I am taking another example, H2 plus O2, or we are taking simply water, and when electric current is passed through water, it gets decomposed and produces hydrogen gas and oxygen. In this reaction, you find that the electric current is passed through water. Water is a single substance and it gets decomposed into hydrogen and oxygen gas. So we can say that this is an example of electrolytic decomposition reaction. So dear students, you have find now I am going to summarize about the decomposition reaction. There are three parts of decomposition reaction: thermal decomposition reaction, photolytic decomposition reaction, and electrolytic decomposition reaction. Now you will be able to define these. So I am going to define first the chemical reaction in which single substance gets broken down into two or more than two substances in the presence of heat. Then it is called thermal decomposition reaction. And the reaction in which a single substance gets decomposed into two or more than two kinds of substances in the presence of light or sunlight, then it is called photolytic decomposition reaction. And the reaction in which a single substance gets broken down or gets decomposed into two or more than two simpler substances in the presence of electric current, then it is called electrolytic decomposition reaction.